Squirrel. Squirrels are adept at leaping from tree limb to tree limb, gathering acorns and darting around in front of my car just for the fun of it. But can our bushy-tailed neighbors offer insight into the winter ahead? According to long-held lore, careful observation of squirrel nesting patterns can predict how severe the coming winter will be. If nests are predominantly located high in trees, one can deduce that winter weather will be exceptionally harsh, lower nests indicating milder temps on the horizon. Although there isn't any way to conclusively debunk this theory, there is zero hard evidence to back it up either. Experts say that past and current weather are more likely to influence behaviors, such as where a furry friend sets up shop. Still, squirrels are pretty entertaining to observe, which is probably why there are several other theories out there regarding weather-related behavior. For example, an abundance of overly plump ones is alleged to indicate a tough winter to come. Also, looking at whether a squirrel gathers acorns at a leisurely or hurried pace can supposedly tell you what kind of winter you can look forward to. Groundhog. Arguably the most famous of all weather-predicting animals, this furry rodent is held in such high esteem that it boasts a holiday, a fan club, and a hit film to boot, the Bill Murray flick Groundhog Day, in case you've been hiding in a hole of your own. On February 2 of every year, people around the U.S. fix their collective gazes on their regionally appropriate groundhog, with Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania being the most celebrated. If Phil emerges from his hibernation hole in the ground to see his shadow, yielded by a sunny day, that means 6 more weeks of winter. If the day is cloudy, and therefore shadow prohibitive, it indicates an early spring. The legend dates back centuries to the European tradition of Candlemas Day, on which clergy would bless and hand out candles to the people. The idea developed that a cloudy Candlemas Day predicted an early spring, and vice versa. At some point, the Germans took it a step further and randomly decided that a shadow-casting hedgehog was predictive of a longer winter. When a significant number of Germans immigrated to Pennsylvania, they assigned the groundhog with its cousin's storied responsibilities. Analysis of data from 1999 to 2012 showed groundhogs accurately predicted winter's end 4 times in 13 years, which isn't exactly impressive. Unless Phil has cosmic pull over cloud cover, it's safe to say that he has little to no idea about impending weather. Still, the tradition is all in good fun. Plus, who doesn't need a little hope to hold on to in the frigid winter months? Frogs. You might want to focus on frogs rather than cows as your guides for rain. Our amphibious friends are fascinating to say the least. With more than 4,700 makes and models of these jumpy guys around the globe, frogs can range in size from a dime to more than 7 pounds, 3 kilograms in weight. In fact, they actually absorb water through their skin, rather than drinking it the boring way that humans and most other animals do. Talk about a party trick. Although some croaking is normal in a frog-friendly environment, grab your umbrella if you hear them calling out with exceptional fervor. Experts attribute this phenomenon to the fact that frogs mate, then lay eggs in bodies of fresh water. So, frogs are more likely to be successful at reproduction following a good rain because there's more watery real estate to choose from. Hence, all the mate-summoning croaks that tend to occur right before a shower. The next time you hear a symphony of croaking, think of it as a little bit of amphibious Barry White to set the mood, so to speak. Then grab your raincoat or get under cover, quick. Birds. For many years, people have believed that birds fly low when a storm is approaching and high in fair weather. The idea behind this is that increased air pressure commonly caused by storm systems is painful to birds, so they opt to skim the earth, rather than the clouds when in flight. Recent findings may have one-upped that theory, suggesting that birds actually possess the capability to evacuate before bad weather hits. Scientists studying a group of Tennessee-based golden-winged warblers documented that the birds flew south in advance of a devastating tornado and made their way back a few days later when everything had settled. The scientists hypothesized that the birds heard infrasound, a low-frequency noise, coming from an approaching storm system days in advance and very smartly got out of town before catastrophe struck. This ability to detect infrasound helps our feathered friends settle on migration patterns because they can identify treacherous weather far before they can see it, sort of like built-in weather radar. Meteorologists, eat your hearts out. Sheep. These woolly-coated beauties are known for spreading out on the farm to graze, but seem to occasionally draw into tight huddles. The tail, which farmers have sworn by for centuries, insists that sheep have a sixth sense that alerts them to approaching rain or snow, so they gather in a tight group to put all that wool to good use and stay warm. Incidentally, doing so also makes it easier for them to be herded. However, this is another classic example of animal behavior that has yet to be conclusively proved. Incidentally, this seems to be the least disgusting of all sheep-related weather prediction theories. Sheep farmers in Iceland long believed that heavy rain can be expected if their charges urinate more often than normal in the pen. They also credit the color of said urine with having weather-predicting capabilities, with sunny yellow pea foretelling nice weather and gray calling for a rainy day. Snakes. Finally, a reason to have snakes around that I can get behind. The legend dates back to the first account of such behavior in 373 BCE, when snakes and a number of other creatures are said to have hit the proverbial highway several days before a major earthquake that decimated the city of Hellice in Greece. But do snakes really have earthquake predictive powers? The first thing to know is that earthquakes happen every day. It's just that most of the time they're so small, no one notices. Although the legendary Ring of Fire, the rim of the Pacific Ocean pockmarked by tons of volcanoes, produces a significant number of quakes, no area of the world is exempt from such an event. In the centuries since Hellice, snake enthusiasts have continued to document movement patterns as they relate to earthquakes, although little hard evidence has been supplied. Scientists do acknowledge that serpents and other animals can sense earthquakes a few seconds before people do, because they are better able to feel the initial wave. The area that remains murky, however, is whether animals can detect a quake days in advance of eruption. Are animals able to feel the ground tilting or electrical or magnetic field variations? As of now, scientists don't know. Sharks. When I'm thinking about sharks, I'm usually too busy pondering their terrifying array of sharp teeth to consider what might be going on with their ears. As it turns out, everyone's favorite predator boasts ears sensitive enough that many experts say can detect changes in water and air pressure that typically accompany hurricanes and tropical storms. In fact, review of shark tracking patterns shows that they often react by diving into deeper waters to wait out the mayhem, as indicated by behavior before many storms, such as Hurricane Charlie in 2004 and Tropical Storm Gabrielle in 2001. The ear theory has yet to be conclusively proven, with some experts saying that there are other ways by which sharks can identify approaching doom and take the necessary precautions. Be that as it may, it does seem that sharks, like many other animal brethren, who they'd probably find pretty tasty, do possess a sixth sense of sorts, which has probably contributed to their success in the whole survival of the fittest contest throughout time. Cows. Cows provide us with creamy milk, succulent steaks, and velvety soft baby calves to ooh and ah over. But do they have precognitive weather abilities? Word on the farm is that cows are generally pretty chilled out creatures until bad weather approaches, at which time they become restless and even lie down in pasture to smartly preserve a dry spot amid a bunch of muddy puddles. But before you ditch that weather app on your phone in favor of farm-side seating, take heed. When cows lie down, they're probably just chewing their cud rather than pondering the 5-day forecast. There is one study that showed that cows tend to stand longer when the weather is hot as they try to dissipate the heat all over their bodies, and that they also seek shade during sunny times. But the study didn't take on the question of whether cows always lie down before it rains. Chances are they don't. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.